Perfect.
Perfect.
All right, let's get going. All right, that's great. Today, we've got a bit of a different video than I've ever done before. I've done other interviews, but I've been on other people's channels. But this time, I'm very excited to have a guest on my channel. Her name is Nicky Ortega, and she runs the website and they're called Ascend Feminine, and also, nearly forgot, Void Vibrations, which is a meditation website coming very soon. And just to give you my brief kind of introduction of Nicky before she kind of tells us a bit more about her story and how she got into manifestation, spirituality, all of that. I have to say she's one of the most inspiring people I know. Positive, bright light, just gives you the most amazing energy, insights. She really knows everything she's talking about, not just conceptually but experientially, which is amazing. And so we're going to have an amazing talk about manifestation, spirituality, law of attraction generally. We're going to cover all that generally, but with a great specific focus as well on parallel reality manifestation, what that really means and how you can use this to kind of transfer into that dream reality you seek, create whatever you want, and experience an amazing life. So I'll first begin by welcoming Nicky again, and tell us a little bit about yourself, about Ascend Feminine, and how you got into the law of attraction and also spirituality.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tom, for the invitation. And well, I will say it's been a crazy journey. I would differentiate spirituality from manifestation. I think my first spiritual awakening, I was about 18 years old, just realizing that I wasn't just my physical vessel, that there was something more than just the life I was used to. In my experience, it was come from a lot of suffering and family dysfunctionality, lessons about abandonment and self-love. And don't really remember much about that, but try to link it to manifestation when I realized that I was much more than this 3D reality. Then with that came also the awareness that I chose that reality. I chose to place my parents there for the lessons that I came here to learn in my incarnation. And with that, I start having these opening to channel or these downloads from these higher entities, which was just version of my highest self or me from the future. And it was practically me just telling myself that I could create my reality, that it was the moment for me to decide if I wanted to step from those lessons. And they just gave me messages more like, this is the person you need to talk to, this is the book you need to read, or you need to follow this path and meet this person to sell your house and attract this business or this. And basically everything just started changing in my life. It was more like spiritual awakening, but also knowing that I was God consciousness experiencing itself on earth and just following that intuition. And from there it has been just, as I said, a crazy ride.
Wow. That's fantastic. Yeah. So obviously you can already tell Nicky is just incredibly advanced in her expression of who she truly is, and that's what I love, because she's an inspiration for all of us to kind of strive to that level of alignment, to connect with our higher selves and all this amazing stuff, to recognize who we truly are, to manifest all of our physical desires in this life. That's what I love about Nicky, because she's kind of done it all and is leading the way. So that's fantastic. All right, perfect. All right, so I like how you distinguish manifestation from spirituality. So let's go with the manifestation direction. So what does law of attraction, what does manifestation really mean to you? What is that what's that definition for you?
For me, it's every moment you're manifesting your experience and your reality. It's just the unmanifest becoming manifest. Every thought that you have, every experience. And I think it's how you want me to differentiate it from spirituality. But what's interesting is that many beings try to learn manifestation because they reincarnate on earth and they had these limiting beliefs that come from their parents or their family line. And then they want to learn manifestation because it's taking a step back and realizing and recognizing those limiting beliefs, or what I call distortions, and then reinforcing what is it that you want to create. And from there, everything you can just project into your reality. For me, instead of attracting it, I see it as a projection. You see the world of your preference. If you came here and to Earth and you have these parents and you don't like their beliefs or what they pass on to you, you can be like, I don't choose to believe that. I am my own creator, and I can learn from that. I can forgive. I can bring acceptance into what I chose this situation for myself, and I can recreate my complete reality. And from there, it's just knowing and trusting, and start with little manifestations, and then your confidence grows and you go for more. And yeah, an
Wow,
unfoldment. Yeah.
beautiful. I love that. So I
Mm.
suppose to bounce off that, what I would say for me, I would actually agree with all of that. I think that's beautifully put. So I think I agree with that in terms of what I view law of attraction as, in terms of it's kind of the basic mechanism or law of the universe, how it expresses itself through each individual point. So I'm one, you're one, everyone watching is one. And so it's that basic law of that it is put in place, that based on, our perception, as you said, our frequency, whatever you want to put that word, or our vibrational attitude, you could say as well, that the external world, what seems to be out there, responds to what we're creating within ourselves. So we can hold that, desired frame, that desired reality, and it starts to project and, shift onto our external world as we harmonize. It harmonizes with what's inside of us and our own consciousness. um,
Yeah.
I'm just giving you my opinions now. You didn't ask,
Yeah,
but
it's beautiful.
okay, but anyway.
Yeah.
All right, beautiful. Yeah, so that's a good definition. So we're getting kind of closer and closer to parallel realities now, because that's kind of like a branch within manifestation. It's like a specific angle that some people like exploring. I've never explored it on my channel, really. Actually, I kind of have. I don't know anymore. So I think I have in some form or another. But okay, so we've got law of attraction manifestation. So what is then parallel reality manifestation? What are parallel realities? How does that work in terms of law of
Yeah.
attraction?
Amazing. In every moment, you're jumping from one parallel reality to another. Even the version of myself that answered your first question is a completely different version than the one that's answering this
Where's
question.
she
And
gone?
it's gone. Even like you see here, I have the smoke of, I have incense here, and you can see the smoke. So this, every time the smoke just flows by, it switches from a different parallel reality. And the beauty of understanding this is like you start seeing yourself as your face or your eyes being just a projector. And just you play slides of your life movie, how you want things to play out for yourself in the projector of your eyes. And when you don't like a projection, you don't like a scene, I don't enjoy hanging out with this person, and I enjoy this reality, this job, this house, you're like, okay, it's just a scene. You can step back from the point of awareness of the observer and being like, oh, I just need to take off the slide, choose a new slide, and depending on how much knowingness and mastery you have in your energy and the projection of that reality, that's how fast you're going to see it manifest in the linear. But you're always jumping from parallel reality, from parallel reality.
So it's kind of like how life actually works. It's not that we're kind of in one universe where the atoms, so to speak, bounce around and there's one place. It's that the universe creates itself again and again, and our consciousness shifts through each frame again and again and again.
Yeah.
Infinite times a second type of thing. We're creating our own reality, literally shifting through different appearances of consciousness. Am I on the right track with that?
Yeah, there's just like an infinite quantum field, just like as you see
Mm,
here. It's just a quantum field of atoms. I call it just stardust. And
mm,
just it morphs into whatever form or shape you want to give it into the moment, or whatever meaning you want to give to something. Like everything just has the meaning that you wish to give it to it.
mm, mm, that's beautiful. So
Mm.
I suppose, yeah. So if I again offer my perspective on that as well, just like you could think of it like the way I think of, shifting through different realities, and then holding, our dream reality in our projector slide, and then allowing that to naturally just manifest into the external world, into the appearance of how our life takes shape. What I would say is it kind of works in the same way that our mind, you could say, has different layers. So it's like you have the conscious mind, it's the thoughts you can kind of be aware of, but then you have the subconscious and the unconscious mind. So the subconscious would be kind of our emotions, the unconscious would be our beliefs. That's how I see it anyway. So it's like or in the same way, our being has different layers. So we could say this is our lower or individuated self that goes through these frames, that shifts through different frames and creates a linear experience of life. For that, we could look that there's another portion of our being, which we could call our higher self, that's intimately connected with us and co-creating that experience based on kind of, our perception. As you said, it always goes back to that. What are we believing is true? What are we imagining and holding within ourselves, and communicating to that higher aspect of our consciousness, and kind of giving it that signal to shift us in a different direction, to create a new reality out of all the different possibilities. We hold that frequency and we allow our kind of higher mind or higher self to activate that naturally, and we kind of flow to that possibility. Yeah. I don't know if that resonates, or if you disagree with or agree with all of that.
Yeah. I see it as you being a character. Like, my body is just an avatar. I don't identify with my body anymore. So I can just play with it and I can be whatever I wish to be. So if you see the body as, you call it more like layers, the subconscious mind and the unconscious. I just see all of that being just product of thoughts, product of the mind. But when you identify with those thoughts and you identify with the observer consciousness, then it's easy to play with those thought forms. So there are a lot of practical tools to switch the limiting beliefs into positive beliefs to project the reality of your preference. But what if you don't identify with thoughts even, and you just are the observer of those thoughts? Then it's just a different quantum perspective of how you can know that they just release. And then you place a new thought for that reality.
So it's like to release thoughts or beliefs that you don't prefer, or that are weighing you down, or that no longer resonate with you, that are dense and heavy, perhaps negative, all these things. You simply observe them, and from that place of the witness, which I always say has a blissful, loving presence naturally, as that kind of washes away, melts those beliefs away, and then you can kind of go, would I like to just be this love? Would I like to be this peaceful presence? Or would I like to then use my mind as a tool to generate a new belief from that place of kind of purity? That's kind of, I guess, my interpretation of what you're saying, I guess.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I think the main benefit, or benefit of this point of awareness would be not feeling contractions when you have a less preferable thought. Like, when you're going to clear those limiting beliefs and you feel the belief again, instead of identifying with it as it's mine, it's me, you see it like, that's just the belief of the avatar, of the baby self, of the ego. And from the point of the witness, you switch the belief and you manifest the reality of your preference, but you can have a lot of more fun in the process, because you don't identify with those lower thoughts, or the thoughts you're trying to recreate into more positive ones or higher vibrational ones.
Yes, that's great. That's great. So I think, so we're already started kind of getting into the techniques of how you shift parallel realities, or how you activate the reality of your dreams. You can phrase it either way. So we're already getting into, like, you can change your beliefs, etc. I suppose what I want to say to people that are getting confused by parallel realities, and they might be thinking, well, how do I do it? I just see it as life. It's just life. Life flows. We're always switch. As you said, it's just the natural process of it. So you don't need to work out how to shift parallel realities. It's not something you have to consciously kind of like strain or willfully do. It naturally happens. You always have a vibrational attitude, or a point of focus, a point of view that will flow through that reality. So it's more about, how good can I feel? What beliefs do I want to create within myself? What imaginal scenes do I want to feel to be my truth, my new truth? And again, from that place of the witness, you can do all this. But even if you're quite, intimately connected with the mind still, and you like kind of controlling your mind, all that kind of thing, it's just about focusing on how that state of being can be created within you, and then you allow the parallel realities to naturally manifest. So I just want to make that really clear, so people are like, this is easy, this is natural, it's not something that's difficult. It's actually manifestation, but just with a different kind of more overarching perspective of, actually, we're shifting, we have infinite possibilities, and we can choose which way, which direction we want to just take our life, just by holding that state of being. That, hopefully so people are following. Okay, so let's so did you want to add anything onto that?
No, that's perfect.
Perfect. All right. So now that we've kind of defined parallel realities, let's talk about, and we kind of already have, as I said, but what's your, best go-to way to flow into that reality of your dreams, in whatever aspect, maybe it's like a dream relationship, a financial situation, a career achievement, or even, you know, a sense of spiritual attainment, you know, any of those things that people wanting to create, how can they shift into that reality? What's the best techniques or general advice you have?
First, it's a choice. You must decide, what do you want? What's the career I see it? How do I want to express myself and my gifts on planet Earth in the linear? Is this the person I want to spend my life with? Is this the person I want to love? What type of relationship you want to attract? Just asking those general questions so you bring awareness into what do you really want. And when you have clear what's the gift you want to share to serve others, what's the person you want to have in your life, what state of being, as you mentioned, do you want to attain enlightenment, do you want to just become a loving presence, do you want to be more at joy, or just feel happiness and gratitude? Choose which are the things or states of being that you really want to create and experience, and then don't fluctuate from that. Just stay in that knowingness and that preference and map out, so what do I need to be or do or learn to express that and become that into my reality? And then just start seeing which areas of your life don't resonate or are not in alignment with that vision that you have for yourself. Maybe you want to be a writer and right now you are in a 9-to-5 job. So you see that's not in alignment. What can you do in your spare time to start projecting the reality of being a writer? Maybe you have 3 hours in your day in which you can write and brainstorm and start flowing into that reality. If you want a serious relationship and you're dating too many people, too many beings, like, is this really serving my preference of my love relationship? If you want to attain peace and then you react a lot into different scenarios, or you get really triggered and you don't work through that and you learn the lesson, then that's not serving your preferred reality that you want to project. So see which areas in your life are not really in alignment with that person you want to become, and just start eliminating those areas and start just focusing on the things or people and emotions that are going to bring out that reality, because you really need to feel it and project it and just stay in that knowingness. Because when you have that desire, that means in the parallel reality quantum field, there's a version of yourself that is experiencing that state of being, that amazing relationship, that career that's fulfilling, that state of peace and freedom. So if you desire it, know that you are experiencing that in a different parallel reality in your future self, and you're just bringing this to the present moment. So it's already done. And that's how you can truly believe it's done.
Wow. And I think I love that, because that's the power of understanding parallel realities and the infinite quantum field of all these possibilities, is that quite literally, if we can connect to these versions of us, it's because in some form they actually do literally exist. And that's why, you know, when we imagine a certain version of us, or we hold those beliefs and we charge up that state of being, and we're staying in that aligned state and that knowingness, we actually are literally merging where we are with that reality and signaling to our higher self, to our higher mind, to start activating that life and flowing us down in that direction, through all the parallel realities in between, all the different opportunities, experiences, everything we need towards what that knowingness of that end state or end goal that we're, you know, focused on. So yeah, so I love how you said that. So it's about asking questions, getting clarity on what it is you exactly wanting to create. So that kind of enables you to hone in on what's that dream reality, what does that look like, what does that feel like, what does that really mean to me, and then staying in that knowingness. So when, you know, negative thoughts or negative emotions arise that block this knowingness, what is your best advice on how to then deal with? We kind of already somewhat covered it, but do you have techniques that you do every day that kind of keep you in this aligned state in particular, or how can someone embody more knowingness consistently?
Yeah, mostly it doesn't happen that much anymore. But if I can tap into that, it would be gratitude. Every time a less preferable thought when I was creating the life that I'm experiencing right now comes, it's just seeing that thought from the observer, taking a step back. Okay, this is not me. This is just the energy of my previous version of self. Now I'm manifesting a new reality. I'm becoming something else. So instead of resisting the thought, because if you see the thought and you feel the contraction and you're like, oh, I'm going to manifest something that I don't like, you are going to recreate more of that. So I say, thank you. Thank you so much, higher self, or thank you so much, thought form, for showing me what I need to transcend. So instantly, instead of the resistance, you bring your energy vibration up into gratitude, and now you can transform it. And then I step into a higher space of vibration that is willingness. So I ask, am I willing to release this thought form? Am I willing to let go of this limiting belief or distortion? and say yes. And even if in that moment you're in the contraction and you don't truly believe it, you just keep asking, am I willing? Yes. Am I willing? Yes. And eventually the thought form will cease, it will surrender, it will be subtler. And in that space, you can imprint a new thought or a new reality that you wish to create. Let's say that the thought was, I am not good enough. And then you see it and you're like, okay, thank you so much for showing me where I need to stand. Am I willing to surrender? Yes, yes, yes. Even if it's like, yes, yes. And you don't really
Maybe
feel it.
not really
I'm
today.
like, yes, right. You do it. And
Yeah.
then eventually you're like, okay, what do I need to believe that is actually going to support my creation? Okay, I am more than good enough. If you have to write it down in the mirror of the bathroom, if you have to make postcards, if you need to put reminders, if you need to journal it, for it can be as easy as just reminding it to yourself, but it depends on how much crystallization, I call crystallization, how much you need to override your past belief in order for you to truly be at 100% knowingness. And then see those tests, those negative thought forms, or what I call less preferable thought forms, as just your higher self testing you. You have this 10% belief you're not good enough. Let me just put triggers, people in your reality that are going to test your sense of worthiness to see how fast you learn the lesson, and you can up level in the ladder of consciousness, which will bring your manifestations. Basically that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think
Yeah.
that's why it is so important to gain that clarity, because when
Mhm.
you get that clear kind of focus or that dream reality that you're trying to activate, and you do things like imagination or you do things like working on your beliefs, it does bring up anything that is out of alignment with that reality for then you to release through those questions, through those methods. And what I would add is I found that the way to, and Nikki, you tapped on this so wonderfully already, but it's just who you are naturally kind of conveys this, but it's with an attitude of that sense of compassion and
Mhm.
that knowingness that you're basically evolving at the pace that you need to be evolving at. So you don't need to be kind of strictly kind of whipping yourself into alignment if there are parts of you that are coming up. This is life. You know, the process of life is to reach into alignment. So there's actually nothing else to do. So when something comes up, you can heal and love and release that at your own pace. And actually, that's the best way to create rapid transformation is through that soft, light touch. That's what I found, at least. And that doesn't mean you slack off or things like that. If unless that resonates with you, in terms of your focus, you want to create a clear focus and you want to do whatever lights you up, whatever resonates you to connect with that consistently. But then as things come up, you thank that, you realize, oh, this is that part of me that's still, as you said, playing out from the old conditioning, from the old version of me. So I can love that. I can love that, heal that, and tell my higher self, tell that higher part of my consciousness, yes, I'm aware that that version of me exists, and I'm aware that you're playing this out through this thought, this emotion, or this external thing that's come in, whether that's a person or some other challenge. You're constantly aware of that from that loving standpoint, and loving it all, and forgiving yourself, loving yourself. And I found that just helps you ascend higher and higher, um, and align any parts of you that are out of alignment with your reality. Now, of course, to the degree you believe and are in line with that vibration or that frequency of your dream reality, that's where the shift into that parallel reality naturally happens, isn't it? It
Yeah.
naturally just appears. You don't have to control the how so much. You just do everything you can, and then it appears. Has that been your experience with when it does finally manifest?
Yeah, it's just whenever the reality is always there. As I say, it's always a version of
Mm.
myself in the future timeline, just experiencing that reality. So when I match that resonance, when I clear out all those limiting beliefs or distortions or little percentage of I'm not deserving of this, then instantly it's like the reality just pops into me. I don't attract it. It just
Mm.
comes to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Projects, boom, magic.
yes.
And you're like, what? Suddenly friends move away, you have a new relationship, new work, and you're like, how does this happen? It just
Yes.
happened.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I remember my old self would a version of myself would have been annoyed by. It doesn't just happen. And that's something but the more you get into it, the more you can actually realize that you're here to be a vessel of peace and love and happiness. And from that place, you can allow things to happen, and actually, life can just be more effortless. I've made a video on this recently, but that's more what I'm realizing is that any belief that suggests it has to be hard or difficult or logical, linear in how it unfolds. It will have some linearity in how it unfolds. Like you'll be able to connect the dots. It won't just it's all, it can just appear randomly, but there is some kind of, it makes somewhat logical sense, but it also can be easy and effortless when you just kind of focus on what's going on inside of you and cultivating that that resonance with that reality. Anyway, that's great. So I think we've pretty much covered. Do you have any specific techniques? Like, do you use imagination much, or do you use affirmations in terms of connecting to your dream reality?
Right now,
I just version of you?
for many years actually, I did do a lot of meditation and visualization practices. When I wake up, when doing my gratitude list, just being really grateful for the things that I wanted, as if they already were in my present reality, because gratitude calibrates really high. So I was just being grateful for it. It's like, I call it like the hide and seek game. It's like, I know it's here. I'm just going to look for it and it will appear. So using that method, it's like, if I'm going to find this new life force energy, as I call money. I'm going to find this. Where is it? And you start looking in different rooms of your house.
Yeah.
So you give that knowingness that it's here for you. Meditation, a lot I did for years and years, but just with the intention that you are not going to force yourself in the meditation, just if it brings you to a higher vibrational place. Because what really manifests that reality is you feeling good, you feeling the joy, you feeling the pleasure. I have found that everything that we want to create is just from the sense that we think it's going to make us feel good or feel happiness or feel more joy or feel more abundant. So for me, it's more realizing that you are already that, but that's stepping into more spirituality teaching. So let's keep getting to manifestation.
And that's perfect. That's perfect. That's exactly where I wanted it to go for one of the final kind of points and topics we can discuss is, as you manage, because I know you used to have a business, a fitness business, and you manifested a great relationship and various financial abundance, all these things that a lot of us, I know definitely are in my journey, being very focused on more of these external things, and then each one of these falls into place, and there is that natural, not always, but usually, and it can happen before any of the external stuff manifests, but I know for both you and I, we were spiritual, but it kind of becomes more dominant, a more dominant force as the more physical things manifest. So as you become more spiritual, as you become a higher consciousness vessel in all dimensions of your being, what then does, I suppose, manifestation look like you? I remember we had a discussion once where you said you can kind of even release any need for anything. So you relinquish desire. I don't know if you still adhere to that or anything like that. So yeah, but my question is, what is, from at more higher levels of alignment and spiritual realization, what does it then look like, manifestation?
I think I must give a little bit of context, and I'm glad you mentioned the
Please.
thing about manifesting the business and everything. Yeah, because in that point where I really wanted to manifest a dream partnership and relationship, because there was a version of myself where I was always on toxic relationships. I'm like, I want to have the dream partner. So manifest that, and then manifest life force energy, which is money. I want to manifest abundance. So I created a business, manifest that. And what else? Manifest, feeling free, feeling freedom, traveling the world. Okay, manifested that, of course, before the quarantine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when I have all those things, it's like, okay, now what? And then what? And it's like, really, it's not about that. And all those things I thought were going to bring me, it brought me a lot of happiness and joy, but it's about the experience and the process of allowing those things. It's not even, I stopped seeing things as an accomplishment, and more like I was allowing and just becoming more and more of what I really am, pure conscious awareness of that abundance. So then going back to your question, right now it's more like an essence. And instead of trying to manifest so hard, I just become the essence of what I want, and the reality just unfolds towards me. It's like living in a constant state of synchronicity or instant manifestation. So it just happens. But I do believe that sometimes it's important to go through those lessons of accomplishing the financial, accomplishing the love, accomplishing the freedom, or anything that you wish, because then that built my knowingness. Those tools, those symbols or permission slips, like, okay, if I was able to allow all of this, of course, now it's just easy. I believe someone can just go to the easy right away and go into the enlightenment right away. But in my process, in my experience, I wanted to accomplish everything linearly. And then it's like, okay, now I'm ready to I want to focus on being self-realized. I want to focus on enlightenment.
Yes.
So at the end, I can sum up into knowingness. those permission slips, symbols, and realizations of what I manifested gave me a knowingness. That means that my trust was 100%, confidence boost up. But if you can boost your confidence and your knowingness without accomplishing anything, you would have it right away. And you would live in this state of synchronicity because you are that source of abundance. You don't need an external person to validate you or the financial to make you feel worthy. You are worthy just by existing. And that's what I feel now.
Wow. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And yeah, I love that. And that's something that I'm tapping into more and more is that, and I also was similar in my own journey in the sense of I definitely was more externally focused. I always knew in the back of my mind about spirituality, and I knew it was going to flower and blossom more and more in my life eventually. And it's taking more and more of that turn, which is something I'm very excited by. But yeah, it's sort of to acknowledge whatever. I always say you just follow what resonates with you. So if that is a relationship, if that is a business, follow that, because that's actually what the divine source is actually inspired to create through you, to gain those lessons. And maybe that is an authentic desire to just be present, to just live in knowingness and pursue self-realization. If that's authentic, then that's authentic for you. But you basically follow anything, you gain all the lessons, and it eventually does. The whole purpose of manifestation is to become, as you said, more of who we truly are, which is, I see just love, joy, bliss, presence, effortless being, connection to those high aspects of our consciousness, to our divinity, you could say. And yeah, just to reside in that knowingness, that effortlessness, that beauty. And that's why it's inspiration to talk to you, because you're actually living that, you're an embodiment of that truth. And yeah, that's right. So yeah, so eventually I suppose that's what it ends up looking like, is you just be, and your life reflects that beingness, the purity of that beingness. Yeah,
beautiful. Yes,
beautiful. Yeah.
yes,
I hope I'm not putting words in your mouth. Yeah, you agree with that?
yeah.
Perfect. All right, well, I think that's everything about law of attraction we covered, how to manifest using parallel realities, and what it ultimately looks like when you manifest more of those physical desires as we move into more of the spiritual dimensions. And yeah, that's all I wanted to cover for today. It was going to be more of like a focused type of thing rather than a free-flowing interview, but I hope everyone's enjoyed listening to what we have to say and our perspectives on this thing. We tried to bounce back, have a bit of a discussion, which I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much, Nicky, for appearing as a guest on my channel, and I'll be appearing as a guest on your channel, so thank you. And yeah, please like this video, please subscribe to my channel, leave us a comment. Definitely check out Nicky's channel as well. I'll leave a link in the description. Check out her website, and I'll leave that link in the description too. Actually, I'll leave one for her personal website where you can have coaching. She offers free sessions that are donation based, which I find very inspiring as well. So I definitely recommend having a session with her. And you can also check out her website, put your email down for her website, Void Vibrations, where she'll be doing guided meditations. So would you like to say anything before we wrap up, Nicky?
Just thank you so much for having me. Thank you everybody for watching, and it was an amazing experience.
Beautiful.
Really blessed to be here and to share with all of you. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.